All right, we're gonna be getting started in about 1 minute. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know in the comments where you're checking in from. You're watching on YouTube, Facebook. Hey. Michael Anthony, good to see you, brother. Jerry checking in from New Hampshire. What's up, Terry? And Zell tapping in from YouTube. That's the Porter watching live from Facebook. Next level, Kentucky. $15, let's go. Watching my puts in Atlanta, fall market fall. Nice. Kevin from Ohio. All right, what's up, good people? Thanks for tuning in. I'm stock market coach and option trader Jason Brown. If you're new around here, we talk about stocks, options, money, market, mindset, and all those things combined to give you some insight into the stock market and how you should be feeling, even if the market is going against you, or how you should be feeling if the market is working in your favor. And so the market has taken a little bit of a beating lately. You can see, all of last week, pretty much, we've been down. And so the question is, and I'm sure it's on your mind, it's on a lot of people's mind, is the selling done? Is the selling done? Is my account done bleeding out? Do we go higher from here? Do we go lower from here? That's the question of the day. So what I want to do is bring in some charts, kind of look at what happened last week, look at where we're at and where I think we may be going and if the selling is done. But so far this morning, the selling is not done so far, which is not good. So let's take a look at it. My man Terry Hamilton said he checking in from Detroit. What's up, Terry? Good to see you, brother. All right, let's switch over to the charts here and let's just take a look at what's been going on in the market. So this is the SPY, the SPY, but we could look at the S&P 500. They both are pretty much the same. And there's a couple things that happen with the S&P 500. Let me take all these other indicators off. First thing is the market has been in a downtrend since the beginning of the year. If you look at it from right here, and we snap a line, you can see the market has been in a downtrend. So that's the first thing that you should notice. This is why reading charts is so important, because depending on how you manage your investments, manage your account, you could have somewhat started to see this starting to happen and say, is it time to maybe lighten up on some positions, maybe get some put options, get some protection into my account? Because you can see things are starting has been in this downtrend. So that's the first thing to zoom out and look at. What's the overall big trend been doing? And the overall big trend has been selling off pretty much. All right. Now let's go macro or micro. Let's zoom in and look at what happened more recently. And this, we talked about this inside the university with our members, but it shouldn't be any surprise to you. We got to double tap at resistance. So this line, this red line has been resistance for the overall market, right? You can see this red line has been resistance, meaning for those of you who don't know what resistance means just like it comes up there and traders, sellers, investors, they don't like the prices of the overall market up there. They believe it may be overpriced or there may be too much risk at those levels. All right, makes sense. Now let's go back. So if we have these hit points or these touch points, if you zoom in and look at what happened recently, we ran up. So you had this run up off the bottom and it ran right up to our resistance line and boom, hit his head. But then something interesting happened. It ran up again and double tapped. So we call that a confirmation. Ran up once, hit it, ran up twice and double tapped. So that's a strong level of resistance where the market just said, look, we can't, or for whatever reason, don't want to break through this level. We believe the risk with the war, with fuel, with inflation, with interest rates is just too high for stocks to continue to head back towards their old valuation. So we get this sell-off. Now, Friday, if you're looking at this big volume, Friday was quadruple witching. All right, so quadruple witching meaning futures, options, like all the contracts with respect to options and futures and stuff like that. The quarter ended, everything expired. It was the third Friday of the month. So everything expired at the same time. And so typically when everything expires, the transactions have to take place, meaning people have to buy, sell, make a decision. They're going to hold it, get rid of it, whatever the case may be. And so you saw this huge spike in volume. But even though you saw this huge spike in volume, we're only technically just maybe, I don't know what you would call this. We could do the math on it. But we only got a retracement of about, what's this, 4,000, let's say 4,050 level down to 3,800, so about 200, less than a 200 point retracement. And it's really going to be interesting to see what we do today, because it's going to be interesting to see, do we hold right here and kind of just, boom, we pull it back to fill this gap, because this is where we reverse gapped up off, I think the CPI or PPI report. One of them reports came in not so hot. Then the Fed spoke, I think. But then over here, we raised interest rates. And we dropped as if we didn't know that was going to happen, which is very interesting. We dropped as if we didn't know that was going to happen. But we did know that was going to happen. We knew the Fed was going to raise it 0.5 or 50 basis point, which is 0.5%. So I'm not really sure why the market dropped as if we're shocked, even though we got a lighter inflation report. So here's what I'm thinking. And then we can bring up the live streaming charts of what's going on too. And it looks like a little bit of an orderly sell-off. It's not just like the market is tanking today. Although stocks like Amazon are down, Apple down, tech has been getting hammered, Google's down. Tesla actually was up and now is trying to give it back. But what I'm thinking though is when I look at the charts, the question we got to ask ourselves is this, and let me know in the comments what you guys think about this as well. Oh, Terry said you can't hear me. Can you guys hear me? Check, mic check. You could hear me there. Let's see. Could you hear me here? Yeah, it looks like you could hear me. All right, so maybe that was your computer, but it looks like you guys can hear me. All right, if you can hear me, let me know in the comments. Say I can hear you. Oh, everyone says I can. Melissa says I can. All right, perfect. Here, let's bring the comments up like that. All right. So most people are saying they can hear me. We good. All right. So I'm not sure if there was an issue with the audio in the beginning, but glad you guys can hear me now. Maybe I was muted while the music was playing. But so here's what we want to look at, or here's what we want to think about. A couple things. So last week, the inflation report, there's two things. The CPI report came out and inflation was cooler. They used the word cooler, so it cooled down a little bit. Before that, I believe it was the PPI, the producer price index, came down a little bit and it was cooler. So I'm wondering how much further really do we have to fall? Because I filled up gas premium. It was normally like $5 a gallon, $5.50 or something like that. I think I got premium at $3.70 or $3.90, something like that. But not only was it below $5, it was below $4. It was in the threes, which is unheard of. So I filled up premium at about $3 or something for gas. So we see gas prices coming down. Food prices are a little bit up there. I go out to eat at restaurants. You kind of see that they're charging. I pay like $50 for like a salmon and some rice. But what did I do after that? I went to Sam's Club and I bought some salmon and I bought some rice and I bought some asparagus. And I'm like, I'm about to start cooking at home. So I think food costs or food prices are going to have to come down. Some of it, I think they're just hiking prices because they can. And then on the other end, I think as people start to pay, look, I'm paying way too much for just a piece of salmon and rice. I mean, rice, a whole bag of rice costs like $1, right? Asparagus, whole bag of asparagus, $2, maybe $3 for a bag of asparagus. I mean, there's your sides. I get a whole bag of salmon for like $20. They're charging me for one salmon, some rice, and some asparagus for like, or some spinach for like $50. So I think what's going to happen is individuals are going to stop eating out, or at least stop paying those high prices for such basic food, which means they're going to be forced to either sell this stuff at cost or take some of that pumped up price out of the equation, or just demand is going to slow down by itself because no one's. It's not that we can't pay that. It's like no one wants to keep paying a ridiculous price for such a basic meal that's normally $14.99, $17.99. It's up to $25, $30, and I think by the time I ate, paid tip, no drinks, somewhere around $40, $50 just for some basic food. So I think food cost is going to come down because demand is coming down. They've already killed demand for real estate or the housing market. And the next thing or demand that's left to get killed is the demand for wages, right? So if companies stop hiring, start laying people off because they're not selling as much, that's pretty much the last piece to get killed. So I'm looking at the market, and here's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at the market, and I'm thinking, how much further do we have to go when what we wanted to happen is actually happening? And what we wanted to happen was for inflation to start cooling off. It did. The cost to produce this stuff to start cooling off. It did for at least this most recent report. Now, I know we got to get multiple reports and see what happens, but it at least cooled off for these most recent reports. That's good news. That's what we want. Inflation coming down, the cost that we're paying and the cost that it takes to make the goods to come down. That's what we want. So why is the market selling off? Because we're finally getting what we actually wanted. And so I think we're going to have a huge buying opportunity. Now, I don't know the exact day and time, but when you think about it, we've already fallen in anticipation that the Fed was going to raise interest rates, in anticipation that inflation was going to be high. I mean, we gave back the entire 4,800 level. Okay, so you say, okay, well, the Fed may overdo it. Okay, maybe, but define overdoing it. Because if you look back here, if you go back to about right here, let me try to. This was where we were at before the pandemic. So if you look back here, this was the pandemic drop right here. So even if we sell off, I don't see us coming back further down this 35.20 level, which we touched recently in October, and then we bounced. So could we be in for some more pain and come back down here? We could, but then the question is, what would bring us back down here if we're finally getting inflation to start to come down from a gas perspective, food possibly next. They didn't kill the demand for real estate already. Next is wages and food prices. What's left for them to kill? And so I don't know that I see us just coming down here and then even breaking further down there. Let's just see what the market's doing real time right now. So you got Tesla pulled back, but again, still remaining positive for the day. Google had this nice sell-off, but again, bouncing. Apple sell-off. We'll see what happens. Amazon sold off. Let's see if we can get back into positive territory for the day. But when you look at these stocks, you look at the S&P 500, only down 58 cents, or the SPY, which is the ETF for the S&P 500. When you look at it from this standpoint, take a look at Amazon. I mean, big picture, even though it's been down, it's still holding at this short-term support. Look at our good friends, Google. Even though Google's down, it's still holding. Actually, it's not even back down to here where it officially kind of bottomed out. and before it rallies. So we still got some ways to go if keyword is if it falls. Now let's look at Tesla. I know a lot of people are trading this stock, and Tesla's kind of a different story. Tesla has broken and keeps breaking or continues to break. So look at it. You could say, all right, is this support? Yes, then it broke it. Then you're like, is this support? Yes, then it broke it. Okay, maybe this is support, then it broke it. Okay, where is support on this thing? We technically don't know because it's just getting its arse kicked. It's getting beat down. But when you look back at this level over here, you say, okay, maybe Tesla is headed back down to this support level, right? And when I say support level, you can see over here where it was just kind of hanging out. And I'll do a second video that just talks about Tesla and why it falls. But just looking at it from a technical standpoint, how much more do you think it could fall? Well, I mean, simple math from there to there is about 20 points. So it could be in for 20 more points of pain. But remember, even if this stock falls and is in for 20 more points of pain, you got to think about it. Electric cars are the future. Electric cars aren't going anywhere. Yes, there's some noise in the market with Elon Musk buying Twitter. And some of that sell-off is because Elon kept selling his stock to actually fund the purchase and the finances of Twitter. So some of that is kind of a self-inflicted pain because of his decision to buy that company. He had to dump some more shares, even though, twice he said, I got no plans on selling any more shares. And twice he came back and had to dump some shares. But I think that's just part of business, right? It's like buying a house and then you have equity in your home. You turn around and you take some money out of that house to go buy another house or a second property. And maybe people are like, well, why'd you buy that second property? That's in a horrible neighborhood and nobody wants to move there. But maybe you see something everybody else doesn't see. And short term, maybe your renters or the people that live in your other property get scared and say, I'm moving out because I don't know if she's going to lose the house. That's just kind of an analogy there. So, but you still own the house. It's still a good house in a good neighborhood, and people still need a place to live. That's how I feel about Tesla. It's still a good company. They still make the best electric cars, and people are still migrating to electric and moving away from gasoline. And that is going to continue to be the trend. That's not going to revert back and say, we don't actually care about electric anymore. Let's just go back to everything being gas powered. You could say, well, there's other competition. Sure, there's other competition. There's always competition. Same way that McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and Chick-fil-A all survive, and Popeye's Chicken, they all survive in the same industry. So no one ever said that just because there's competition means only one company can survive. There's GM, there's Ford, there's Chrysler, there's Toyota, there's Hyundai. So there's Lamborghini. If you look at the luxury car market, there's Lamborghini, there's Ferrari, there's Porsche, there's Mercedes-Benz, right? Or which owns Rolls-Royce. So they all can survive and thrive even though there's competition. So I think we got to pipe down with the is Tesla going to zero? Probably not. Is the economy going to zero? Probably not, right? We got what we wanted, which is inflation coming down. So I don't know. Let me know. What do you guys think about that? What stocks are you looking at, and how do you feel about the market, your trades, your investments that you're in? If you got a stock you want me to look at, we'll pull it up on the screen. Let's take a look at it. But those are just some of my thoughts on the overall market. I think the pullback and the sell-off, I think it's going to be limited. I really do. I really do. Because the market is also, and again, let me know in the comments, what do you think? What are you watching? What stocks, and how are you feeling about your overall investments? But the market is forward thinking. And so the market already started thinking about this day coming. So if you look over here again, the market is forward thinking. It started thinking about this day way back here and way back here and way back here. So it's not like they just woke up and said, oh, snap, what happens with inflation? Right? It's not like the market just woke up and was like, oh, there's inflation. What are we going to do? Interest rates are higher. What are we going to do? They've been raising interest rates from way back here. So we're closer to the end than we are at the beginning of this whole thing. So I think we just got to be patient and not panic. think long term we go higher. We always go higher long term, but short term, there's been some pain. So let's take a look at it. Um, Anzel said he sold them on the top. And that's the other thing. If I'm going to own a company like Tesla and sell my stock, I'd rather sell it at the top, right? And try to get the most money I can for this company that I own. And that's what he did. He sold at the top, which is what we could be doing too, though. So we have the same ability to look at the charts and say, maybe it's time to get out. Maybe it's time to take profits. So it's not like he did something illegal, which I love. It's also not like he did something special. I've watched people own Tesla stock and watch it go all the way up. And I've watched them same people watch it come all the way down. It's like, man, learn how to read the chart and determine when it's time to cash in. Because nothing goes up forever. I can't say that nothing goes down forever, because if a company's going out of business, well, then yeah, it will go down for the rest of its existence till it gets bought out or goes out of business. But for the most part, nothing goes up forever. It all has a period where it starts to turn around. In fact, it's interesting. The market's starting to turn around right now as we speak. But as Zell said, the market is dropping more. Tesla will go back down to, I don't know what that means. Kevin says, let's look at Nvidia. Oh, you said 88. I don't know that Tesla going down to 88, Anzel. I don't know about that, baby. G. Porter says FedEx earnings this week. What are your thoughts? All right, let's take a look at Nvidia for Kevin, and then let's take a look at FedEx. He said earnings is on deck this week for FedEx. All right, let's take a look at, but this is what I was looking at. I saw this bounce, and stocks are starting to turn around a little bit. Tesla is trying to turn around. Google definitely rebounded intraday. Apple starting to turn and rebound. Amazon, come on, baby. Let's get back up here and get positive for the day. You can see the SPY turned around. So let's take a look at those particular stocks. Let's start with Nvidia. NVDA. Nvidia. So what's interesting about Nvidia, you can see the resistance right here on this stock. So it ran up, hit that resistance. The question is, let me see. We got some with moving averages. It broke the 10 and the 20. So the question is, where is new support going to be found on this stock? Where's the predictable, repeatable pattern? And so I don't particularly, I kind of see one, but we got to wait and see how this plays out, because it could have a little short-term uptrend, as you see right here. But if it breaks that, then we got support way down here, right? Kind of got this level that it could fall to. But the question is it going to break and come all the way back down there? If it does, the market would have to start getting super weak. Let's look at some of its competitors or people in the same space. You got Intel. Don't like it. It's not really doing anything. Let's look at AMD. AMD getting its butt kicked. And so this is what I'm talking about, why you got to be careful. So look at AMD. AMD ran up, hit his head 3 times. Bop, bop, bop. And so that's 3 times it told you, hey, I can't break through this level. And then what happened? Boom, boom, boom. You got the sell-off. So that would have been a good put option play. So when you look at Nvidia, this is why I'm saying you got to be careful. Although the 3 times didn't happen recently, you got once, twice, 3 times it couldn't break through. But with AMD, it hit its head 3 times, like in a row. So the question is this going to run back up? And if it does, if it hits its head, I think you can be prepared to buy puts or something like that on it, the same way AMD turned around. But right now, this is a wait and see. We don't know what's going to happen with Nvidia. Let's just take a look at Nvidia on the intraday chart and just see what's happening here. So on the intraday, it's kind of bottoming out right here. See how it puked, but now it's holding. It doesn't want to go lower. So I would be careful, because on the intraday, you got the bottom, and then on the daily, if we switch back over to this chart, it could bounce like it did there. So we wait. This is a question mark. We're waiting to see if this thing is going to pop and what's going to happen right there for AMD. So we'll see. Let's take a look at FedEx, and then we'll get ready to wrap this Monday morning update up. So FedEx, they have earnings tomorrow. Is it after the bell? I don't know if it's after the bell or before. Let's click here. See that little moon? That means it's after the market closes. So you still got time. Here's my thoughts on FedEx. If I don't know, I don't know how I feel about this because we had this with FedEx. We had this run up right here, right? We had this run up off the bottom, and so if I have to look at it from this standpoint, we're near resistance. But the question on FedEx is this: do we believe that corporate shipping and e-commerce shopping, do we believe that that's on the rise or a decline? Do we believe we had a good Black Friday? Do we believe we're having a decent Christmas shopping quarter? Because all the numbers that they're going to report is from anything that's been leading up to today to see if if deliveries have been up. And the question is, how much of that is already baked into this run up? And so if they have good earnings, we could get a pop and this stock can come and recover this gap. You see this gap right here? It can come and recover this gap. See this area that it just gapped down? So it's possible. And it could also have bad earnings, but the CEO comes on and talks about they see things picking up. They see China opening back up, this, that, and the third, with cost of goods coming down. Maybe they see shopping increase. They have insight that we don't necessarily have. And so people are shipping goods and stuff again. So they could even miss earnings, but give an upbeat outlook, and we could get a rally back up to the top. The only problem with earnings, let's take a UPS. The only problem with earnings is that it's a one-time event that could technically blow up your account. So I wouldn't put too much stake or money behind, are they going to make earnings? Are they going to beat earnings? UPS ran up, hit resistance. They don't have earnings coming up till January. So yeah, UPS or FedEx is going to be the first one to release their earnings, which will probably affect both stocks. I mean, I guess the way that you could consider playing this, you could technically look at doing some type of strangle or a straddle, where you're buying some calls and you're buying some puts, and you need the stock to move big enough, depend on how much the movement can be. So we can look at that tonight when we meet with our Power Trades University members. We can look at the specifics of this trade and say, okay, what option, what call will we buy, what put will we buy? Because we have until tomorrow after the market closes. So that gives us time to talk about this tonight on our webinar, and we can see if there's an opportunity to do a strangle or a straddle, and if the numbers make sense, see if we can place that type of trade, whether it's real or paper or practice, and then see what happens the next day from a strangle straddle perspective, if the numbers make sense and based on how much we think it can move off the earnings report. All right. So what else you guys got from me? Any other questions, comments, thoughts about the overall market before we get ready to wrap up here? Let's bring in the stream and charts again. You can see Nvidia. We saw that bottom in and start to come up. Google, you can see we're starting to rebound here, which makes sense. Apple still struggling a little bit. But if you look at Apple, it makes sense that they're struggling a little bit because Apple, it is back down near support. Because I was looking at this level on Apple. Boom. And it just broke it, actually. So that's not good. But if you zoom out a little further, now we're going to have to see if this level holds on Apple. So perhaps Apple comes back down to about right here, and we'll see if that level's going to hold or not. Versus Amazon, I'd be surprised if it continues falling because we're right down here at support. And then Google, Google's support is down here, but you do have this shorter interim support kind of, right, if I move this up a little bit, right around this level where you see it kind of bounce, broke down a little bit, but perhaps it's going to turn around and go in the direction that we want it to, or you want it to if you're holding that stock. So we'll see. We'll see. Michael says, market seems to be slowly turning from all-out bearish to a sideways channel. Yeah, it might be. It might be turning from all-out bearish to a sideways channel. We'll see. This could be the beginning of a sideways channel. We don't have enough data yet. We don't have enough data yet. All right. Which platform am I using? I'm not really sure if what you're asking. I'm on the MacBook Pro. I'm using Street Smart Edge right here. I got my own drawing tool. But I mean, if you're using Charles Schwab or Street Smart Edge, you'll have access to the same tools. Also, we have a PDF that we put together that lists some of the best tools to use. It's in the stock market starter pack. So if you don't have that, link should be below in the description. You can check that out, find out the best brokerage accounts, the best tools to use. We put that all together for you. So hopefully that helps. Adolph Brown. Plus, we got the same last name, brother. So there it is. All right, cool. Thanks, guys, for watching this. Share this video with someone who needs to, get the Monday morning market update and insights. Give it a thumbs up if you liked videos like this, and then let me know in the comments, what your thoughts is on the market and if this was helpful, so we can do more videos like this. I'll see the rest of you power traders tonight at 8 p.m. for our members only live stream, and let's see what the market gives us.